Well, hello there and welcome back. I'm Steve Geiger, your solar professor. Today I want to talk about NABCEP certification. And so for those of you who may be interested in getting NABCEP certified, first I want you to know NABCEP is just a fantastic program. NABCEP is North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. I've been teaching NABCEP materials and classes for almost 10 years now, and some of my college programs have had some of the highest pass rates in the nation on NABCEP exams. NABCEP has several certifications that you can earn, and so what I wanted to do here, I have the NABCEP website open, and it's simply nabcep.org. And let's take a look at a few of the sections before we get started on a couple of must-knows for the NABCEP exam. That's really the reason why I wanted to create this video today, is some of the must-knows. And then I'm going to further get into specifics on each of these four topics. So there's four must-knows if you're going to take any of the PV, photovoltaics, NABCEP exams. NABCEP's got several certifications here. You can see them over here in the menu bar. There's PV Technical Sales, PV Installation Professional, PV Design Specialist, PV Installer Specialist. Then it gets into solar PV Thermal, so PV heating installer certification. There's even small wind certification. So NABCEP has expanded considerably in the past few years. Used to be just PV and some solar thermal. Now they're moving on into other things. One other thing I want to note here on the website is some of the practice exams that are available. And so we have two highlighted right here. This is the NABCEP PV Associate Credential, and that's the practice exam. And then there's the NABCEP PV Installation Professional Certification. There's a difference between the two, and I'll leave it to the NABCEP site for you to explore the difference. Basically, the PV Associate, it used to be called the entry-level exam. That is the exam that most of my students started with. You don't need to have a in-the-field installation experience to take it. It is an exam that showcases a lot of your book knowledge, and in particular the four things that I want to share with you today. One of the best books, and I mentioned this book in one of my previous videos, to showcase the materials and the knowledge you need to know for the NABCEP Associate exam, is Photovoltaic Systems by Jim Dunlop, and there's a third edition out now. Again, just an amazing book. I've used it in my college courses for years and years. It's really the de facto materials, the de facto book. I call it the Solar Bible, if you believe in that kind of a term. And so definitely a lot of the exam questions and material come from the information that's provided in the Photovoltaic Systems book. So I can't speak highly enough of reading that book. There's 15 chapters in the book, high-powered information in that book. So this is where to start, and if you want to step up into a more advanced understanding of NABCEP materials and solar, photovoltaic solar in general, stepping into the installation professional certification is the way to go as well. So, four things, I promised you, four things, and I want to keep this video as short as possible. Four things you need to know for the NABCEP exam. And let me just write them out for you. So, first one here is STC, and that stands for Standard Test Conditions. Hopefully we can see that here, yes. Standard test conditions, I'll just give it to you. I'm going to dive into it a little bit more. Jim Dunlop's book is fantastic in covering what it really means. Standard test conditions is what all products in the industry are really tested against. And it happens to be 1,000 watts per meter squared, okay, and air mass of 1.5 and then there's a temperature involved, and that is 25 degrees C for Celsius, or that is also 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so that's what standard test conditions is. Again, products in the industry, the solar modules as well as inverters and stuff like that are tested using this particular standard test condition. Next one to know is absolutely Ohm's law. So Ohm's law, we're going to get into that pretty heavy, and I got a special secret that I utilize in my, and I've utilized it in my college classes ever since I've started. It's called the power pyramid. It's really a fantastic way to have an understanding of Ohm's law and get it down to prepare you to take the NABCEP exams. Okay. Next is series, hopefully I'm writing big enough here, versus parallel. Okay. So understanding how series strings of solar panels are set up and connected to the inverter is very important. Understanding what parallel can do for us as well. Extremely important to understand that for some of the problems and the questions that are going to be on the NABCEP exam. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is to have a really good understanding of the IV curve. And IV curve, pretty simple here. I, intensity, or amps, right here. We have amps on that plane, and then over here we have V, and that stands for volts. And then of course in solar oftentimes we see a curve that looks like this, and there's a knee to that curve and such. And we're going to get into that a little deeper. So these are the main things right here. Especially Ohm's law, there's a lot of problems on the NABCEP exam that are algebraic equations. So it's not super hard math, but you want to understand how to go ahead and perform the math required to do Ohm's law, especially in word problems. And I will make sure that we give you an understanding of that as well. So, 4 things we need to know specific to the NABCEP exam. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll get into those topics in future videos.